Thursday night was always ours. Not officially, no title stamped onto it like a birthday or anniversary, but over the years it became our tradition. We called it date night, even when all it meant was takeout and a movie on the couch, her toes brushing mine beneath the blanket. It wasn't about grandeur. It was about time. Intentional time. We hadn't missed a Thursday in I don't even know how long. Years, maybe. Even when work got busy. Even when we argued. Especially then. So when she came out of the bedroom that evening, drying her hair with that striped towel, I noticed the shift. Subtle, but unmistakable. Her eyes didn't meet mine. "I'm too tired tonight, babe," she said, almost too casually, as if rehearsed. She dropped the towel in the hamper, slid past me toward the kitchen, and poured herself a glass of water. "Work was brutal. Mind if we rain check?" I didn't want to be the guy who pushed. The desperate guy. So I just nodded, forced a smile, and said, "Of course. Get some rest." She kissed my cheek, barely, a soft whisper of contact, then disappeared into the bedroom, shutting the door halfway behind her. I remember just sitting there, on the edge of the couch, staring at the paused movie we'd planned to watch. The popcorn she liked, light butter, heavy salt, still steaming on the coffee table. 2 beers sweating in their bottles. It didn't feel right. Not because she canceled. Life happens. People get tired. But because of how she canceled. Too clean. Too distant. I sat there for a while, finishing my beer. The silence around me heavy in that way it only gets when someone's choosing not to share something with you. You feel it more than hear it. By 10:30, I was in bed. Alone. She said she was staying up to answer emails, though I didn't hear a single key being struck. I don't know what made me check my phone around midnight. Restlessness, maybe. Or that gut-knotted thing we pretend is paranoia until it's proven otherwise. And there it was. A tag. A name I recognized. Jessie, her coworker, posting a blurry video to her Instagram story. Music pounding. Lights flashing. The camera whipping around a packed club floor. The kind of place we hadn't stepped foot in since our early 30s. And then the camera landed on her. My wife. Laughing. Head thrown back, eyes glittering. A drink in one hand, the other on a man's chest. Someone I didn't recognize. Someone standing too close. Someone looking far too comfortable. I don't even remember blinking. I just stared at it. Watched it again. And again. There she was, too tired, dancing in stilettos and a dress I hadn't seen her leave the house in. A dress I hadn't seen, period. Tight. Low cut. The kind she used to wear on our getaways, back when the flame burned hotter. My first thought wasn't rage. It wasn't betrayal. It was something far simpler. So this is what tired looks like. I didn't confront her that night. I didn't storm into the living room or text her some gut-punched accusation. I just lay back, staring at the ceiling, feeling the slow unraveling of something I couldn't quite name yet. I thought about our last few months. The way her phone always seemed face down. The way she laughed harder at her texts than she did at anything I said. The new perfume she said was a gift from a client. The gym sessions that went longer. The showers right after. All of it. Like puzzle pieces scattered across the carpet. Not quite fitting. Not yet. But close. The next morning, she acted normal. Made her smoothie. Kissed my forehead. Wore that same tired smile, like the woman in the club story was a dream I'd made up. She even asked if I wanted to reschedule our date night for Saturday. I said, sure, and smiled. Because part of me wanted to be wrong. Desperately. But something else had awakened in me. Not anger. Not revenge. Just attention. A sharper gaze. A readiness to finally see what I'd been refusing to. So I started watching. Not her. Me. Watching how I shrank to avoid making her uncomfortable. Watching how I ignored my instincts in favor of preserving peace. Watching how I let her rewrite reality, even when my gut screamed otherwise. That was the beginning of the unraveling. But I didn't pull the thread. Not yet. I needed to know. Not guess. Not suspect. No. Because once you know, really know, there's no going back. The following week, I played my part. The doting husband. The man who accepted tired excuses and rescheduled date nights. I still made coffee for her in the mornings, still kissed her forehead when she left for work, still asked about her day over dinner. Nothing too eager, just enough to keep her comfortable, to keep the mask on. But beneath all that softness, something in me had gone still. Like a lake after the wind dies. You can see deeper when there's no movement. The first real clue came 3 days later. A Thursday again. She left her phone on the charger in the kitchen, a rare thing. Usually, it was an extension of her body. But that night she was rushing. Said she had a late strategy meeting with her department. Apologized again for another missed date night, and I smiled like it didn't crack something open inside me. As soon as the door closed, I walked to the charger. I didn't even hesitate. Her phone wasn't locked. She'd always bragged about how real trust means nothing to hide. Ironic now. I scrolled through her messages, not the ones you'd expect. No trail of heart emojis or risque photos. She was smarter than that. No, the truth was in the silence. In what wasn't there. Our message thread, blank for days. Just a few generic exchanges. But her DMs with Jesse? Lit up like a control panel. I opened one. Told him I'm tired again, he bought it. Might pull a double tonight, LMAO. Another one. Same table at Vesper. Hope Matt's wearing that shirt again. Matt. I didn't know who he was. Not yet. But I would. I closed the phone and stood there in the dark kitchen, surrounded by the hum of appliances and the distant tick of the hallway clock. Something in my chest felt hollow. Not the kind of emptiness that makes you want to cry, but the kind that makes everything feel quiet. Too quiet. The next morning, she acted as if nothing had shifted. She wore a new lipstick shade, asked if I could grab almond milk on my way home. Kissed me again, forehead, like I was a child she was tucking into bed. I said sure, and then I called in sick. Not to follow her. Not yet. I wasn't ready for that. Instead, I drove to Vesper, the club from the story. Mid-morning, the staff was cleaning up, stacking chairs, vacuuming spilled confetti and glitter off the carpet. I asked to speak to the manager, said I was planning a surprise party for my wife and wanted to book the same area she'd reserved the week before. The guy smiled, flipped through a tablet, and said, "Oh yeah, I remember her. Friday night, right? Small group, but man, they went hard. Real VIP vibes. She booking again?" I nodded slowly. Maybe. What name was the reservation under? He didn't hesitate. Matt Dillard. Matt. The name hit harder than I thought it would. I thanked him, left a fake phone number, and walked out into the sun. The next few days were a blur of controlled calm. I stopped asking where she was going. I stopped suggesting movie nights or takeout. I just let her float further and further away, like someone testing how far they could walk into the ocean before realizing they couldn't feel the bottom anymore. She didn't notice the change, and that told me everything. One night, I heard her on the phone in the bathroom. Not loud, not careless, just relaxed. That was new. Her guard was down. I stood outside the door, barely breathing. "Yeah," she said, laughing softly. I told him I had a migraine. He practically tucked me in and turned off the lights himself. He's sweet. Just not really a man, you know? I walked away before I heard the rest. I didn't need to. It was strange how grief didn't come in one crashing wave, but in slow, disjointed ripples. Like my heart couldn't handle the full weight of it all at once. I thought about the night we moved into this house. How we'd sat on the floor eating Chinese food from paper boxes, surrounded by unopened boxes and hopes that hadn't been broken yet. She'd fallen asleep in my lap that night. I remember thinking, this is it. This is my life now. And it's good. And now here we were. Her with someone named Matt. Me playing a part in a story I hadn't written, waiting for the final act. But I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to scream or throw things or beg. I was going to collect my evidence. And when the time came, I'd give her the one thing she never saw coming. A mirror. Not to punish her, but so she could see exactly what she threw away. Because the man she called not really a man was waking up. And soon, I'd stop playing along. 2 weeks after that bathroom call, I stood at the edge of the rooftop bar where she said she'd be at a networking mixer. It was Jesse's birthday. I knew that because I'd finally confronted the one person who didn't belong in this mess. Myself. I'd asked myself, quiet, unflinching, do you want to keep pretending, or do you want the truth? And I'd answered, without blinking, the truth. I hired a private investigator. Not because I didn't already know, but because I needed to see it from the outside. No more doubts. No more foggy instincts or blurred lines. Just facts. And the photos came, crisp and clear. Her, laughing in the arms of a man whose hands had found home on her hips. Matt, a gym-cut finance type, the kind who wore tight polos and called waiters boss. They weren't subtle, and they weren't new. They'd been seeing each other for months. The first photo in the report was from the night she told me she had a late call with Tokyo. The last one was from 4 days ago. Him, brushing her hair from her face in a dim-lit lounge booth while she held his tie in 2 fingers. What hit hardest wasn't the cheating. It was how easy she made it look, like she'd already erased me from the version of her life she actually cared about. So I made a plan. Not revenge, not destruction, just a return to honesty. I waited until Thursday night, our old date night. I made dinner, lit a candle, even picked out one of her favorite records and let it spin in the background. Just like old times. She walked in around 8, surprised. "Wow," she said, setting down her bag. "What's all this?" I smiled, soft and easy. "Just thought we could reset. Like we used to." She hesitated, then nodded. "Sure. That's sweet." We ate, talked, laughed a little, even. Almost like nothing was wrong. Like the foundation hadn't already cracked beyond repair. Then, after we cleared the plates, I reached into my pocket and slid a small folder across the table. "What's this?" she asked, brows knitting. "Something you should see." She opened it slowly, and the first photo stared back up at her. She blinked, then flipped the page. Another, and another. No words. Just her, in moments I wasn't supposed to see. Her face went pale. She set the folder down like it burned. "How long have you known?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Long enough." She looked down at her lap, then back up at me. "I didn't mean for it to." "Stop," I said gently. "I'm not here to hear the script. You don't owe me that." Tears welled in her eyes. I could see she wanted to rewind, backtrack, spin a new tale. But I was done playing the extra in her drama. "You told me you were tired," I said. "And I believed you. I let you go because I trusted you. Because I thought marriage meant giving space when needed. Supporting without question." She didn't speak. Her lips trembled. "I didn't come here to shame you," I continued. "I came here because I wanted you to see what you walked away from. I loved you. I still love the version of you I married. But she hasn't been in this house for a long time." Silence settled between us. Real, heavy silence. "I've already spoken with a lawyer," I said. "The papers will be ready by Monday. I'm not fighting you. I'm not taking you to war." Her eyes widened. "You're really leaving?" "I already have," I said. "I just stayed behind long enough to show you the mirror." And with that, I stood, walked past the photos, past the record player, past the memories etched into these walls. At the door, I paused. "You were right, you know," I said without turning. "You were tired. Just not of work. You were tired of us. Of me." She didn't deny it. And I didn't need her to. I walked out into the night, a breeze catching my collar, the city humming with the strange comfort of endings. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel broken. Just free. And somewhere deep down, I knew I'd mourn this. I'd grieve her. But I wouldn't chase a shadow. I was done loving someone who danced in another man's arms while I sat waiting with takeout and a warm heart. She gave me lies. But I gave her something more powerful in return. The truth. And it was enough.